Alright guys, today we're going to work on variables on both sides of an equation, and I'm going to give you an introduction to function form. So what I want you to learn is that sometimes equations have variables on both sides, and our notes are right here. Variables on both sides means an equation has one or more than one of the same variable on each side of the equal sign. I'm going to talk about two different types, simple and distributive, and give you a few examples on those. So the how to solve, I just copied up here. And this one is a really simple one, but it has like terms on the same side and on the other side of the equation. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to smush my like terms, combine my like terms. So I'll rewrite 3x minus 4 is equal to, now I take a positive 2x and a negative 5x, and I get negative 3x plus 8. And now I will add my 3x to the left side and get 6x minus 4 is equal to 8. And I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And I get 6x is equal to 12. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 6 and get x is equal to 2. Now I'm not done until I check my answer, so I'm going to pause it and go through the check step. And I have the check step written down. Looks like everything's good. So now I'm going to ask you to do the u-try. And this u-try is a distributive and a simple. Variables on both sides. All right, the next example here is an example with fractions. Fractions can be a little bit difficult because when you add and subtract fractions from one side to the other, you're going to need to get a common denominator. So there's a few ways that I can do it. I could just start by doing the work, or I can see that I have a denominator of 8, 8, and 8 over here. So I could do a little bit of preventative work, and I can change the 1/2 to a denominator with 8, and a denominator with 8 is 4/8. So I'm going to move this over here so I have more work. Oh man, what happened there? Okay, I'm going to move everything over so I have more space to work. And I'm going to rewrite. I have 5/8 m minus 3/8 is equivalent to 4/8 m plus 7/8. Now I'm going to, since the 5/8 is bigger over here, I'm going to move my 4/8 to the left side, and that will keep minus 4/8 m, and that will keep my m value positive, which should save me an extra step at the end. So now I have 1/8 m minus 3/8 is equivalent to 7/8. Now I add 3/8 to both sides. Make my symbol a little bit better, and I'm left with 1/8 times m is equal to 10/8. Now I have one last step. 1/8 times m is another way of saying, or I could also write this as m divided by 8 equals 10/8. Or I could just multiply both sides by the reciprocal and multiply both sides of the equation by 8, and that will give me, these two will cancel, and actually over here those two will cancel, and I will get my m value is equal to 10. Just to be safe, I'm going to check my answer because that's part of every single problem, and I'll show you my check step in a second. And over here in my check step, what I see is, or what I want you to see, is this part right here. What I did right here, I plugged everything in. I plugged my 10 back into the original equation. I started solving, and then 1/2 of 10 is 5, but I couldn't add the 5 to the 7/8, so I converted it to an improper fraction with a denominator of 8. All right, if you want to take a look at that, you can rewind, but I'm moving on. Here's your u-try, and it's got fractions, but these should be a little bit simpler, and there's a distributive property. Okay, so now here's your notes for function form. Please pause it and write down the notes. Okay, function form is another way of saying this slope-intercept form, or y equals mx plus b. What we're going to do right now in today's video is we're just going to cover the basics. We want to convert this equation into function form, or y equals mx plus b form. So what we're going to do is we are going to basically isolate y. Isolate the y. Get the y by itself. Right now, the y is not by itself. So what I can do to get the y by itself is I can add 5y to both sides. And I get 5y plus 4 is equal to x. And then I can subtract 4 from both sides. And I get 5y equals x minus 4. And then I can divide both sides by 5, and I get y is equal to 1/5 x minus 4/5. That's pretty much all we can do right now, is we're doing a literal equation where we're solving for y and combining like terms if possible. Okay? So here's your u-try. It should work out a little bit smoother, a little bit cleaner with maybe some whole numbers. Pause and try. And here's another one. This one says solve for the unknown variable, so we're back to variables on both sides. And that's it. That's the whole video. We'll see you in